In a raw and inspiring update, global superstar Beyoncé has revealed she will undergo a second surgery for breast cancer, opening up about the emotional turbulence of her diagnosis, while emphasizing resilience and positivity. The 44-year-old singer, songwriter, and entrepreneur shared her journey in an exclusive interview with Oprah Winfrey on the Super Soul podcast, released on December 4th, 2025, just weeks before the planned procedure. "I feel good. I still feel like I'm in the middle of a storm, but I'm just making sure my umbrella is open," Beyoncé explained, her voice steady yet vulnerable. The surgery, aimed at removing residual tissue following her initial operation, is scheduled for mid-January 2026, as doctors monitor the disease's response to ongoing treatments. The revelation comes as Beyoncé navigates one of the most challenging chapters of her illustrious career, diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer earlier this year, discovered during a routine mammogram. The Houston native underwent her first lumpectomy in September 2025. Breast cancer affects over 290,000 women annually in the U.S., according to the American Cancer Society, with early detection offering survival rates above 90%. For Beyoncé, whose net worth exceeds $800 million from music, fashion lines like Ivy Park, and investments, the illness has forced a hiatus from her high-octane lifestyle. "Perspective is key," she told Winfrey, reflecting on how the experience has reshaped her priorities. "This isn't just about me. It's about every woman who hears this and gets checked." Beyoncé's return to the spotlight has been gradual but triumphant. Last month, she made a surprise appearance at the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles, performing an acoustic set that left fans in tears. It was there she first publicly addressed her health. "Some of you may know this, some may not, but I had breast cancer surgery 11 weeks ago," she shared on stage, met with thunderous applause. The performance, part of a tribute to Black women in music, showcased her unwavering vocal prowess, despite chemotherapy side effects like fatigue and hair thinning. However, the second surgery looms large, potentially delaying her Renaissance World Tour extension. The U.S. leg, originally set for early 2026, has been postponed to April, with European dates under review. Promoters cited health considerations, assuring ticket holders of refunds or rescheduling options. Behind the glamour, Beyoncé admits to moments of profound struggle. In the podcast, she confessed the disease's toll on her family life with husband Jay-Z and their 3 children, Blue Ivy, 13, and twins Rumi and Sir, 8. "I feel like cancer has stolen memories with my family," the Formation hitmaker said, her tone laced with regret. Long days in treatment mean missed school events and quiet evenings at their Bel Air mansion. Yet she credits her loved ones for fueling her fight. "Jay and the kids, they're my anchors. Blue tells me every day, 'Mom, you're a queen. Queens don't quit.'" Jay-Z, 56, the billionaire mogul behind Roc Nation, has been by her side, canceling business trips to support her through chemo sessions at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Medical experts note that Beyoncé's case aligns with increasing trends in younger women diagnosed with aggressive forms of breast cancer, often linked to genetics or lifestyle factors. Dr. Susan Domchek, an oncologist at the University of Pennsylvania not involved in her care, told CNN, "Repeat surgeries are common if margins aren't clear, but with stars like Beyoncé raising awareness, it encourages screening." Beyoncé tested positive for the BRCA2 gene mutation, heightening her risk, a detail she shared to urge genetic testing. Despite the uncertainty, Beyoncé remains defiantly optimistic. She's channeled her energy into advocacy, partnering with the Susan G. Komen Foundation for a virtual fundraiser that raised $2 million in November 2025. "There won't be any shows with my name if I don't beat this," she joked lightly in the interview before turning serious. "But seriously, I'm focusing on healing, mind, body, soul." Post-surgery, she plans a low-key recovery, possibly incorporating holistic therapies like yoga and meditation, which she's practiced since her Destiny's Child days. Beyoncé's story echoes those of other celebrities who've battled breast cancer, including Olivia Newton-John and Shannon Doherty, who used their platforms for education. As she prepares for the knife again, fans worldwide rally with Intrak Bay Strong trending on social media. "This storm will pass," Beyoncé concluded, "and I'll be dancing on the other side." This is far from the first time. This 44-year-old icon has stared down brutal adversity. Let's look back at Beyoncé's profoundly tragic life journey, from the devastating losses of her childhood to the silent, soul-crushing battles that ultimately forged the global superstar we know today. Born on January 9, 1952, in Gadsden, Alabama, Matthew grew up in the segregated South. He earned degrees in economics and business administration from Fisk University, then an MBA in strategic planning. He moved to Houston in 1976 and worked for Xerox Corporation for 10 years, climbing the corporate ladder, making six figures as a medical equipment salesman. But Matthew wanted more. He wanted fame. He wanted wealth beyond a corporate salary. And when his daughter Beyoncé showed even a hint of talent at age 5, he saw his ticket. Beyoncé didn't choose performing. Her father chose it for her. He enrolled her in dance class. He pushed her into beauty pageants. He made her perform for his church congregation. And Beyoncé, desperate for her father's approval, did it all. As a child, I'd go to watch Beyoncé perform, and she was probably 5 years old. Beauty pageants, whatever Houston had, she was there performing with a mic in her hand. And then she'd go back and play. Beyoncé's cousin, Angela Beyoncé, recalled. She never reveled in it. Think about that. A 5-year-old performing not because she loved it, but because that's what was expected. Angela added something even more revealing. I do believe that if she could sing under a secret identity and still affect people and touch their lives, that she'd rather not be famous. That, if she had her choice, she'd rather take off her shoes and do cartwheels in the park. That's really who she'd like to be. But Matthew Knowles didn't want a daughter who did cartwheels in the park. He wanted a star. When 9-year-old Beyoncé auditioned for a kids' singing group in Houston, she met Latavia Robertson. Together with Kelly Rowland and other girls, they formed Girls Time, managed by Matthew Knowles. From that moment, Beyoncé's childhood ended. It was rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. He was like a drill sergeant, Latavia Robertson told the Mirror years later. Looking back, working that hard did cost us our childhood. A drill sergeant. That's how the girls described Matthew Knowles. Not a supportive father, not an encouraging mentor. A drill sergeant who pushed 11-year-old girls to their physical and emotional limits. In 1993, Girls Time competed on the TV talent show Star Search. They lost. For most families, that would have been a disappointment, maybe a learning experience. For Matthew Knowles, it was unacceptable failure. After that loss, Matthew quit his 6-figure corporate job at Xerox. He decided to manage the group full-time. His medical equipment sales career, over. His comfortable lifestyle, sacrificed. Everything now revolved around making these young girls, including his own daughter, into stars. But here's what nobody talks about. Beyoncé didn't ask for this. She was a child. Children should be playing, exploring, making friends, going to sleepovers, doing normal kid things. Instead, Beyoncé was in rehearsal rooms for hours every day, perfecting harmonies, learning choreography, being molded into a product her father could sell. The group went through multiple name changes and lineup shifts before finally becoming Destiny's Child in 1996. By then, Beyoncé was 15. She had spent 6 years under her father's relentless management, 6 years of missed childhoods, 6 years of being told that success was the only thing that mattered. And it worked. Destiny's Child signed with Columbia Records in 1997. They released hit after hit. They became one of the best-selling girl groups of all time. Matthew Knowles' gamble paid off, but at what cost to Beyoncé? When Beyoncé was 12 years old and her sister Solange was 7, their mother Tina Knowles noticed something troubling. The two girls, who had always been close, were growing apart. Destiny's Child rehearsals were happening at the Knowles house. The other girls in the group would tell 7-year-old Solange to shut up and be quiet. And Beyoncé, desperate not to rock the boat, didn't defend her little sister. "I started noticing that she wasn't protecting her sister," Tina recalled in a 2025 interview with CBS News. So Tina made a controversial decision. She put both daughters in therapy together. Not because they had major problems, but because she wanted to preserve their relationship. She wanted to make sure they stayed close despite the pressures of fame. But Matthew Knowles objected, strongly. He was like, "I don't want any parts of that," Tina said. Therapy, in Matthew's view, was unnecessary. His daughters didn't need psychological help. They just needed to work harder, perform better, achieve more. Tina defied her husband and put the girls in therapy anyway. "Whatever I have to do to make that happen," she told interviewer Gayle King about preserving her daughter's relationship. Think about what that reveals. Beyoncé and Solange needed professional help to process the trauma of fame, the pressure from their father, the loss of normal childhood experiences. But Matthew refused to acknowledge that his parenting style might be damaging his children. For 31 years, Tina Knowles stayed married to Matthew despite his controlling behavior, despite his obsession with fame, despite the sacrifices he demanded from their entire family. She designed Destiny's Child's iconic outfits while working as a hairdresser. She supported his vision. She held the family together, and he cheated on her, repeatedly. In 2009, news broke that Matthew Knowles had fathered a child with actress Alexandra Wright. Tina immediately filed for divorce, though she briefly withdrew the filing in 2010 before refiling in August 2011. But it wasn't just one affair. It was 2 children with 2 different women, both born in 2010 while Matthew was still married to Tina. In February 2010, Matthew's son, Nixon Alexander Knowles, was born to Alexandra Wright. In July 2010, his daughter Coy Michael Knowles was born to Takoya Branscombe. Beyoncé and Solange suddenly had 2 half-siblings they'd never met, born from their father's infidelity. The man who had controlled every aspect of their lives, who had demanded perfection, who had preached discipline. That man had been living a double life. The divorce was finalized in November 2011. Tina later wrote in her memoir, "This was different from the other times I had chosen to leave him. Now I had no choice. In the aftermath of that explosion, I kept pace with my life, as I had now for years, sticking to my routine and allowing work to numb and carry me." Maybe 15 of them were bad, Tina said about her 33-year marriage, but we would have these long stretches where we would do really great. 15 bad years, nearly half the marriage, and she stayed because of her daughters, because of Destiny's Child, because leaving would have disrupted the empire Matthew was building. In March 2011, shortly before her parents' divorce was finalized, Beyoncé made a shocking announcement. She was firing her father as her manager. The official statement was carefully worded, professional, diplomatic. "I've only parted ways with my father on a business level. He is my father for life, and I love my dad dearly." But TMZ uncovered documents that told a different story. Beyoncé's law firm had conducted an audit of her finances. The conclusion? Matthew Knowles had been stealing money from his daughter, the man who quit his job to manage her career, the man who claimed everything he did was for her, the man who had controlled her life since she was 5 years old. That man had been embezzling from her. Live Nation, Beyoncé's touring partner, accused Matthew of theft. He denied everything, insisting he wanted to take depositions to prove his innocence. But Beyoncé's team refused to comment publicly. They didn't need to. The message was clear. Beyoncé no longer trusted her father. Think about that betrayal. Not just stealing money, but stealing from your own daughter. The daughter you pushed onto stages at age 5. The daughter whose childhood you stole. The daughter who made you rich and famous. And you repay her by stealing? On April 4, 2008, Beyoncé married Sean Corey Carter, better known as Jay-Z, in a small private ceremony in New York City. Her mother Tina attended. Her sister Solange attended. Her Destiny's Child sisters Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams attended. But conspicuously absent from every photo, every report, every guest list, Matthew Knowles. It's unclear whether he wasn't invited or chose not to attend, but the message was clear. Beyoncé was building a life separate from her father's control. Then, in June 2013, Matthew Knowles married Gina Charmaine Avery in Houston, Beyoncé and Solange's hometown. Neither sister attended. Matthew told TMZ that scheduling conflicts prevented his daughters from attending. Scheduling conflicts. For their father's wedding? In their hometown. Nobody believed that excuse. The truth is, Beyoncé and Solange had distanced themselves from their father. They wanted nothing to do with him, his new wife, or the chaos he continued to create. They reportedly have never met their half-siblings Nixon and Coy, the children born from their father's affairs. Nixon Alexander Knowles lives with his mother Alexandra Wright in the Los Angeles area. In 2014, Wright told In Touch magazine that Matthew's child support payments had been drastically reduced, leaving her struggling to support Nixon. She said they were at risk of homelessness. Nixon deserves to know his family, and I hope one day he will meet his sister Beyoncé, Wright said. In 2023, Wright revealed something heartbreaking. Beyoncé and Jay-Z's Malibu mansion was only 10 miles from the trailer where she and Nixon were living. But no, there has not been any contact, she told The Sun. The pain still needs to heal. Matthew Knowles is no longer in contact with his son Nixon. The boy has never met his famous half-sisters. He lives in poverty, while his father boasts about his accomplishments in the music industry. Coy, Michael Knowles, born in 2010, didn't even know who her father was until her mother, Takoya Branscombe, filed a paternity lawsuit in 2014. DNA tests proved Matthew was her father, and he was ordered to pay child support. In regards to family visitation, I am always open to her having a relationship with her father and all her extended family members, Branscombe said. Whether or not that happens, Coy will be just fine. But it hasn't happened. Matthew Knowles fathered 2 children and essentially abandoned them. And Beyoncé, understandably, wants nothing to do with the mess her father created. In 2016, Beyoncé released Lemonade, a visual album that shocked the world. The project dealt with infidelity, pain, betrayal, and forgiveness, widely believed to be about Jay-Z's cheating. But buried in Lemonade was something deeper. Beyoncé confronting the parallels between her husband and her father. In the section called Accountability, Beyoncé speaks directly to the camera. Did he bend your reflection? Did he make you forget your own name? Did he convince you he was a god? Did you get on your knees daily? Do his eyes close like doors? Are you a slave to the back of his head? Am I talking about your husband or your father? That last line is devastating. Am I talking about your husband or your father? Beyoncé recognized that she had married someone like her father, a controlling man, a man who expected perfection, a man who cheated, a man who made her question her worth. The track Daddy Lessons drives this home even harder. In the accompanying video, there are clips of Matthew playing with Beyoncé's daughter, Blue Ivy. But the words tell a different story. About a father who taught her to be tough, to not trust men like him, to shoot straight and never miss. My daddy warned me about men like you, Beyoncé sings. He said, Baby girl, he's playing you. The song is both tribute and indictment. Yes, Matthew made her strong, but he also broke something inside her. He taught her not to trust men by being the kind of man who couldn't be trusted. Today, at 44 years old, Beyoncé Giselle Knowles-Carter is one of the most successful entertainers in human history. She has 32 Grammy Awards, a net worth over $500 million, a legacy that will outlive her. But she paid for it with her childhood, stolen by a father obsessed with fame. She paid for it with therapy sessions starting at age 12 to process trauma her father refused to acknowledge. She paid for it with a mother's 31-year marriage, destroyed by infidelity. She paid for it with financial betrayal from the man who was supposed to protect her. She paid for it with 2 half-siblings abandoned by the same father who controlled every aspect of her life. Matthew Knowles got what he wanted. He made his daughter famous. He lived vicariously through her success. He became known worldwide as Beyoncé's father. But in the process, he lost his daughter. Beyoncé doesn't speak to him. She doesn't invite him to family events. When she talks about him publicly, it's with carefully chosen words that acknowledge his role while keeping him at arm's length. Success didn't save Beyoncé. It gave her a platform and financial independence, but it didn't heal the wounds her father inflicted. It didn't restore the childhood he stole. It didn't repair the trust he broke. Beyoncé has everything society says matters, but she's still carrying that 5-year-old girl who performed at beauty pageants not because she wanted to, but because her father demanded it. She's still carrying the 9-year-old who rehearsed until her feet bled. She's still carrying the 29-year-old who discovered her father had been stealing from her. And that's the real tragedy. You can have 32 Grammys and still be haunted by the man who was supposed to love you unconditionally, but only loved what you could do for him.